I'm Anna. This is Revolution number 10. You're at the table.
Action.
Today at the table, we are going to explore what I think is a feasible solution that not a lot of people will probably agree with. It's something that I've talked about quite a lot, that professional athletes get paid way too much. Okay? I get it. Sure. It's an important part of our society, sure. But top paid athletes, Floyd Mayweather, $285 million in 2018.
Wow.
$285 million. LeBron James, $85.5 million. Like, this is outrageous. This is more money than some third world nations have, okay? So, now,
that's a good point.
That being said, all of these athletes are, of course, some of the top of their class in terms of whatever sport they're paying. But they still fuck up. And yet, they still make $85.5 million. I mean, wasn't it? Well, I guess. So, Cristiano Ronaldo, $108 million for playing for Real Madrid. Like, this is Conor McGregor. Total earnings, $99 million, $85 million purse, $14 million in endorsements. Let's not forget that.
Wow.
So, anyway, onwards. I'm reading through this. I'm reading through this. I'm just like, this is crazy how much these men are making. These men, and I'm sure the women aren't making as much, but they're probably making up there. Anyway, I think that these professional athletes, the highest paid athletes, are making that much, but then the guy on the worst team, the worst player on the worst team of a professional sports team is still making $1 million. A year. To sit on a bench. Or to run out on the court for 40 minutes. Not even. I don't even think that they play for more than 2 minutes. Yeah. You know, so
the last resort.
If you are a professional athlete, and I'm not saying like the OHL, I'm saying like NHL, NBA, like the ones with the major sponsors and all that stuff. The ones that are making $19 million in endorsements. Yeah. Like if you're on your field and you go anyway, if you do something and you miss, so like you get docked your pay. You miss a goal. You get docked pay. Like,
so any goal? Any shot, any goal? Like if you swing and a miss. You get docked pay.
Yeah, for sure.
So that would mean there would be like less shots taken, I think.
Oh, really? Because, well, see, the way I figure is it's like, I think it would encourage them to do better, but then I was thinking this, for all the docked wages, so if you're making $85.5 million a year, and you lose $1,000 for every shot you miss, you're not actually losing that much money.
No.
Because if you're making $85.5 million a year, technically you probably only miss 5 shots in a season. Let's say. I don't fucking know anything about sports, really. I only know enough to get myself laid.
Like even if you were to miss 10 shots.
$10,000 if you're making $85 million is nothing. And so if you get, 1,000 athletes from across every single professional sport thing that there is, and they're all docked $1,000 for every miss, then suddenly you have this exorbitant amount of extra money. And
you know what fucking Lowry makes a second?
Tell me.
$8,000 a second, and he's one of the cheapest players on the Raptors.
Really?
8,000 and change.
A second when he's on court?
Playing, yeah.
So what about when he's sitting on the bench?
That's right. I guess because they Googled it. When I was at Daryl's, his brother Googled it.
That's so the worst player on the Toronto Raptors.
Well, I say he's bad. He's not the worst.
Okay.
Like, he's actually good. People like him a lot.
But still,
The point is,
he's not the best player.
No. Like, so I can imagine what Steph Curry, those guys make.
We just looked up. LeBron James makes $85.5 million a year.
A season.
Yeah.
That's ball. Or is that everything?
No, that's just the ball. And so if all these worst players, because even if you're the worst player, you only get
She does not win.
3 minutes on the court once a season, you're still making $3 million. You miss that one shot, that's still only $1,000 out of your $3 million.
yeah.
So you take all of those professional athletes and all that money, because like if you put it in the context of real life and real life people, if you fuck up at work, you lose. Your shifts get cut, you get fired, you get written up. You get penalized.
Yeah.
So why can you be the worst professional athlete and not be penalized? Do you understand?
For just being there, you mean? Because there's definitely instances where it's like, yeah, you can get game suspensions and stuff like that.
Just being there, yeah.
Like if you're not like actually doing anything wrong, but you're just not doing anything right either.
They sign a contract, and that's what they get paid for the season.
Yeah.
Regardless as to what they do.
Yeah.
Whether they advance their team or not.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So whether or not they are contributing to the success of their team, because in sports, that's your job.
Yeah. Get further, get better, get gold.
That's your job.
Yeah.
Your job is to win in sports.
Yeah.
And so if you aren't winning, but you're still getting paid, there needs to be some kind of balance, right?
Yeah.
We can't just have everybody floating, this fraction of the population floating around with way too much when this fraction of the population has barely anything.
Yeah.
When teachers across North America, not only in Canada, every teacher I know has to pay for her own stuff.
I think you make up a really good point for this, because why is it that for someone whose job is to educate and to further
rear your fucking children.
Yeah. How come they are doing a lot of their own material buying and supplying out of pocket, whereas these athletes who, yes, fair enough, they've been training their whole lives
or whatever.
Like they work hard.
Just as long as a teacher, though, a teacher's gone to school for a minimum of 5 to 7 years.
But the point is that why is it that the cuts, for example, that are being made in the government are being made in the wrong places for sure? Why not cut the salary of some of these fucking athletes and put that money towards the deficit that we have that we're battling?
So that's a different thing, though. If we're going to do that, then we need to cut the salaries of our politicians, which is one of the things that I think is the most important in terms of Canadian government and reestablishing a level of ballot. We have forgotten that our politicians are servants, are our public servants. Mm-hmm. They are not supposed to be getting paid an extraordinary amount of money. Like a municipal councillor in Toronto gets paid $150,000 a year plus expenses.
Wow.
Plus a housing allowance and all that stuff. So I just feel like, so that's where that should happen. So for public stuff, yes. I think that I don't want to cut their wages, you see? Because people get crazy when you talk about cutting their wages. You can't go and tell fucking some NHL player, we're going to cut your $85 million contract in half and give the money to the health services and public school system. They're going to say,
the draft's coming on. Watch all these young kids from college going to get picked with the money they're about to make.
Yeah.
Their lives are about to change.
My idea is, so let's go with the $1,000 mark, whatever it is. If it's baseball, soccer/football, American football, hockey, did I say it already? Basketball, whatever.
Lacrosse.
Well, I don't know how much lacrosse players.
Exactly. There's leagues.
Yeah, but they, like, if there's not major, anybody who's making too much.
You mean like just like the more big five, whatever.
Let's say if your professional athlete wage is more than $500,000 a year or a contract, because that's a lot of fucking money for one person. I don't care what anybody says. Nobody needs that much money
a year.
When people are going without, one human being can survive happily with everything they need and more in today's day and age with paying rent for an appropriate apartment. We can all live on $100,000 a year. No problem. And that's including a little cocaine habit and cigarettes. Like, and that's fine. You have kids, throw another $50,000 in there a year. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, we don't, so if you lose $1,000 every time, $1,000 is nothing if you're making $500,000 either.
Yeah.
What's $1,000 if you're making millions of dollars? Nothing. So then all of a sudden, because all these professional athletes, they're not all
They're
great.
making every shot.
Exactly. Now we've got a pool of millions of dollars, which would in turn go towards supplementing what is lacking by the government in the social and health sector, in our social services, education, and health sector. Because there are a lot of countries around the world, like in Jamaica, for example, when I was in Jamaica, what I learned in Jamaica was the government does shit for their population. They don't even build fucking roads.
Wow.
Okay? Grace Foods. You know Grace Foods that makes the jerk sauce and the fucking spicy sauce and the peanut punch and shit?
Yeah.
They are the ones that have paved roads all over Jamaica in the last 50 fucking years.
Wow.
And it's all by Chinese people.
And so,
Just chirping in the back.
that's Rara. She's a special guest. It's okay, you're on for a long time.
Yeah. We've been recording this whole time.
We got you, buddy. You know we love it. So anyway, so a step further, I realized, like when I was there, I was visiting a friend's family, and their family is quite well-to-do. And I was exposed to this, what brought a little bit of shame to me. But then I realized the necessity of it. So their well-to-do family had helpers. Okay? Helpers. They weren't allowed to sit at the table with us. It was very somewhat colonial.
Okay.
All right?
Yeah.
They were not white. They're Jamaican. Okay? So that was also the interesting part of it. But then I realized when talking to the help, like
the helpers.
So this family, my friend's family, has been responsible for the last 100 years for benefiting, so Jamaica has no social welfare system, right? So the rich people have to help the poor people, or they're all gonna fucking crumble.
Yeah.
So rich families take children from the slums and from very poor families and pay them. So they're not slaves. It's not like a slave thing. they are being paid a wage.
Yeah.
The wage will be paid directly back to the family. Because usually, so the one boy that was there, he was the cook at the house, okay? I don't want to use names, but he was a cook. He was the cook, and he also was they had this beautiful garden. He'd go out into the garden and get it was amazing. So he told me that the family had taken him in when he was 8. His mom had 16 children from several different men, living in the slums, and her, one husband, one baby daddy was, killed, and then she got married again, and, it's just, a terrible fucking life. Yeah. He's lost, 6 brothers, to violence and to disease, and, just a bad situation. And so this family takes him in, starts paying the mom. So now the mom, since the family took him in, the mom has been able to afford a house for the kids because they pay a little more. They're helping, They pay him. They put him through school. They're helping the mom put him through school. Now he owns a restaurant. And he owns a restaurant chain in Jamaica. So now he is one of the rich people. His family is now taken care of, and he is now doing the same thing. Cool. Taking on poor people who are needy and helping them. Yeah. Because he has, and they do not. So, if I have too much and you have nothing, doesn't it make sense to balance the scales a little bit? Give you something too, so it's just to me that was so fucking beautiful. Yeah. Because it's the what I believe humanity is for the love of God. I need it to be that way. That is our true self. That, okay, not every rich person in Jamaica is doing this, is affecting this level of change. But it's more of a cultural norm than not. Yeah. So that only leads me to believe that maybe people, when we see people in need, it is our natural reaction to help them. So maybe in North America, we need a little push. Push back towards, recognizing the need. Sharing the wealth. Right. And so therefore, I don't think it would kill anybody to reinvest your wages, athletes, lost, I don't want to say lost wages, but you fucked up. You gotta pay. You didn't make the basket, man. And if it's and we can even go so far as if it's a regular season something that you missed, or if you get a penalty, or whatever.
Or if you get a penalty too. If you're being bad in the game and it's not sportsmanly of you, it's not, if the sportsmanship isn't there, that makes sense to me too. It's you get a penalty in the game and you get a fine.
I don't know much about many other sports besides hockey, but let's say you get a penalty for icing. Yeah. That right there, so you have now held your team back. Yeah. You held the team back. So $1,000 for that. Okay? Yeah. $1,000 for a penalty, $1,000 for a missed shot, $1,000 if you let the fucking puck in. Yeah. You know what I mean? Things that were all oh, I can't believe it. Oh, $1,000. Yeah. But now if it's playoff season, $5,000. Okay. Up the ante. So now let's say, I'm not very good at math because I'm extraordinarily pretty, and math is for ugly people. But let's say we have 300 athletes. I don't know, how many athletes would there be? In one league, there's going to be at least 300 athletes, right? Whatever. Let's say that. Yeah. So let's just pick one league. So, fictitious sports league of 300 sports guys. No. 300. Let's say all of those guys whatever. It's the end of the season, and now there is, let's say, $2.2 million in the fuck up pot. We'll call it the fuck up pot
from these 300 athletes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know what that's going to come to. Whatever. But still, $2.2 million.
That's a lot of money.
None of them have lost too much because there's 300 of them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, this is what I'd be curious to see.
Okay, so C. So
how much did you say?
2.2 million.
To how many zeros?
300 athletes. We're doing the math right now, guys. Stay with us.
Right? That's the appropriate amount of zeros?
No, just put, I don't know, 6.
No, it's 3 more. Okay. Equals. Can't even.
What are you doing?
I don't know.
You were just wasting airtime now.
I'm sorry. We did this.
I know we can.
I was just trying to be okay, so I'm curious, it's 1,000, 22 point.
2.2 divided by 300, Heather, that's not even $700 each. Right? 700.
No, would that be 7,000 each?
Yeah, 7,000.
Okay, so 7,000 each.
So that's $7,000 per athlete per time.
That's 7 shots missed.
Yeah.
So on average.
On average.
For this fictitious
sports team.
Yeah, playoff season.
Whatever. So now that's just one sports league. Now, like the Jamaicans, like them, we're going to take that money and we're going to put it back where it is lacking. Because we are the ones that need to evoke the change. If we see a need, we are the ones that have to fill it. Okay? So you have too much, they have too little. Let's give back. What is the fundamental aspect of our culture? What is the foundation of society? Education. And that doesn't mean school. And that means, even the elders sitting around a campfire telling you what happened, 150 million years ago as a fable. Education. That is the number one most important part of everything that we need. We are the ones that have to rear the children. We are the ones that guide them. So let's give the money back to the kids. Let's put it in. Okay, so this league makes $2.2 million. Maybe it could even be something like every team
chooses,
or it's their city, their area, right?
Yeah. Or it's the money goes back into their
particular community.
Yeah.
Back to the teachers who make barely $50,000 a year and have to spend at least $10,000 of that on books and various things throughout the year for their children. On top of that, try to live,
have their own family.
These are people that teachers, the health services they're the cogs that keep us moving, man. We need to appreciate teachers like we appreciate sports professionals. That's the thing. What the hell? What the fuck, man? What the fuck? I get it, okay? And every guy I've ever had this conversation with is yeah, but sports is entertaining. And it's just fine. Sports is entertaining. That's great. But it's also dumbing you down. You gotta be a well-rounded human being. You can't just be Jockey McJockerston and never have read a book in your life, and you can't just be Bookie McBookerston never having thrown a ball in your life. We gotta try everything. And so if we're going to put all this value here on sports and entertainment, we need to put the value back where it needs to be as well in the fundamentals. I'm not saying take away from the sports and the entertainment.
Yeah.
I'm just saying let's create more of a balance. Perhaps celebrities and sports figures can come to the conclusion on their own. In Jamaica, for example, so we had this guy drive us from one end of Jamaica to the other. And so he was telling us all these crazy things. And we drove past this one town. And he told, this was in 2008, I think it was there, and he said up until 5 years ago, 2003, this town did not have running water, electricity, or plumbing. Like, it did not have, but it still had over 1,000 people. One of the kids had gone to America, become like some crazy engineer, made like millions of dollars, came back and put everything that his town needed to where it needed to be a fucking town. To function. He did this. He didn't go back and be like, I'm going to be the king of town.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah.
I'm American now, so fuck y'all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, so why can't we do the same thing? When I think of owning a mansion, I just think of having to clean it. Like, to me, having that much room wasted for nothing, unless every single one of my friends is living with me, or I'm fostering 50 children, there's no reason to have a 50-bedroom house.
Yeah.
When there are people who are homeless.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. And it's like, I'm not saying professional athletes can't be celebrated, revered, and overpaid. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that sports professionals and the entertainment industry is just as, I almost said just as important as teachers and health professionals, but maybe a little less important than that, but still important.
Yeah, there's a difference between a role model, like a teacher, and someone to model.
Right.
You know? Like, celebrities and sports people, like athletes, they get idolized because it's like, oh, you're better than me. You're what I wish to be. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to, follow you because, if I do the same training you do, or I go to the same acting school that you go to. Right. I will.
And so they create a level of, like, inspiration.
Yes.
And, like, yeah.
They're heroes to some people,
They're definitely a necessity.
Exactly. Whereas teachers, however, they're role models. They're the morality, the education.
Teachers spend more time with your children than you do on in school. Like, that's 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
For 12 years.
Yeah.
You see your kid for an hour before school and 4 hours after, if they're not in any extracurricular activities.
Yeah. So there are some teachers I know better than members of my own family.
Yeah. So, and then you remember more fondly.
Yeah.
You're like, I would way rather Miss Brown than Auntie Patty. Like, I don't have an Auntie Patty, and I didn't have a Miss Brown, but you know what I mean? Like, just to be clear, in case there is an Auntie Patty out there, like, it's not you. I don't know who you are, but it's not you. So yeah, I definitely think that this is a feasible way to evoke change. And not only would it evoke financial change, but it would, I think, create a different model, right?
Yeah.
Where now this is the norm.
So how would this change the world?
Well, I'm getting there. I'm trying to figure it out. I don't know if it would change the world. Would it change the world? Because here's the thing, guys. Let's just be honest. Heather and I don't know anything about sports.
Nope.
On any level, even remotely outside of North America and possibly a little bit of the UK, in terms of what a Filipino, roulette player gets. I don't know. Okay? Or what a Russian hockey player makes. I have no idea. Like, I don't know what, the gymnasts in China make. Like, I don't know.
Okay.
So this would evoke change in North America, because that's where I think sports athletes and entertainment is a little bit more important.
Yeah.
And then, sports athletes donate money to charities and blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool, but that's just a tax write-off. That's literally self-indulging. You're actually not doing anything. When you could physically build a town with the amount of money that you have.
That you make yearly.
In a year.
Yeah.
You could build
It's not like you're raising this money to build a a house every year.
Yeah.
Some people build a house every year.
Yeah.
You know, like there are lots of good things that people are doing. Like,
Absolutely.
I don't want to discount that because there definitely are people who do the shit.
I am fine to say eat the rich, but
like there are definitely people that will, you know, like I feel like Leonardo DiCaprio does a lot of good stuff for people.
Well, and who was that other one that like there was that rap artist that went back and like built his like little town in Africa. He like went back and like never.
Helped them with like their lighting and their electricity, something like that, and it just took like
gave power to like
Yeah, it wasn't Akon.
Akon, that's his name. Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. Like see,
there are good things.
Exactly. Example, Oprah. She is one of those that drive me crazy with her whole like she pretends to do. That bitch has enough money. She's got more money than anyone in the world. She was sending 14 African girls to college, right? Something like that. The Angel Network.
Okay, yeah.
And now the Angel Network isn't even around anymore. Like, you have so much money, man. You could send every girl in the United States to university. That's how much money that woman has, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just like, and that's the thing that bugs me, is it's like, we have all these like celebrities with all this ability to make a difference. And they just stand at a podium, right? They stand at a podium at an event, but they're still spending $7,000 on a wallet. Right?
Yeah.
Or $15,000 on a pair of shoes. Because that's the norm to them. That's the norm.
It has become their norm.
It's become.
It's like, you know, when that saying where it's like, you know, don't forget your like humble beginnings, like don't forget us when you're famous, that kind of thing. It's like, that's what happens. It's that money changes people.
Is it money or is it the culture? Because again, let's look at like some of those rich people in Jamaica. You go to like my small town in Italy is run by like two of the richest families in the fucking town, you know, because the municipality doesn't have any infrastructure, any economy, right? So the town has to pay to keep the town running. So there's wealth all over, but how it's dealt with is, I think, cultural. You look at Norway. They have a huge population of extraordinarily rich people, and you walk through a neighborhood, you'd never be able to tell. They're living side by side. And so here, it's a status symbol. It's a power thing. And so to let go of a little bit of money to help somebody else out, this idea that I don't know where it fucking came from in North America, but it's just, they can do it themselves. Why should I have to give something in order for them to eat or whatever? And it's just like,
I worked hard to be where I am.
Yeah, they're just lazy, blah, blah, blah. Like, you know, everybody's got a fucking shit moment. Some people just are lucky. So, you know, if you are lucky and there's someone unlucky and you have 2 apples and they have no apples, the fuck is it going to kill you to give them 1 apple? Is it really going to kill you to give them 1 apple? Because tomorrow you can find another apple.
Yeah.
But clearly this person is having difficulty finding apples.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They don't know where the apple tree is. I mean, you don't have to tell them where the apple tree is, so they don't go stealing your apples. Fine. Cool. There, you can keep your wealth that way.
Yeah.
Don't tell me where the apple tree is, but give me your apples. Share your apples. I'm not saying give me your last apple. I'm not saying give me apples until you no longer have apples.
Yeah.
I am saying if you have too many apples, because I know you do, please may I have one.
Because otherwise, what are you going to do with it?
I'm going to die. And those apples are going to go rotten.
Yeah.
And then what?
So you don't think this will change the world, but you think how do you think that it will change our culture?
Okay.
American.
Yeah, because now that we've clarified that, it's not, this particular episode is not about world change, but maybe on some level, it's about learning.
Hey, domino effect.
Who knows?
You know, it can change the world that way.
We are only speaking from our own expertise.
Yeah.
We're the only reason we are not saying that this would change the world is because we aren't totally sure if this is applicable worldwide. We will call it a donation. Fuck, there's got to be a better word.
I like what you called it the pot before, the penalty pot.
penalty pot, sure, whatever.
The penalty pot.
I think this would help because it would, first of all, bring our communities closer by encouraging communities to work together. So now we've got $2.2 million because the Toronto Maple Leafs are a fucking shitty hockey team. What are we going to do? You're the same as anybody else. You're going to miss that shot. You're going to do, you're going to let that goal in. You're going to miss that kick. And that's why it's not a huge amount of money in relation to what you're making.
Yeah.
I could be a total bitch and say $1 million every time you miss a shot. But we're trying to keep this feasible. We're trying to keep this reasonable and rational. Nobody wants to lose. I don't want anybody to lose. I don't believe that you have to lose for someone else to win. But if you're winning, you can share.
Yeah.
And my bottom line is we need to put as much value into our teachers, our educators, and our caretakers as we do in our entertainers.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Right?
Hell yeah.
They are just as responsible. They're more responsible for rearing our children. Yeah, I'm sure TV raises a lot of kids too.
So, this is on the feasible scale, right?
I definitely feel like this would be a more feasible way to change North American culture, potentially the rest of the world. Nobody's losing, but in the end, we're all winning. We are all winning. Nobody has, we don't have to, yeah, man. I think it would just, maybe it would change the idea. I'm not saying take this money and give it to welfare recipients. I'm saying reinvest it into our society, our community. Invest. Ooh, that's what we can call that. Investments.
Yeah.
That's what we will call it. It's not a fine. It's not a penalty.
It's a community investment.
It's a community investment. Every $1,000 community investment.
Yeah.
$5,000 community investment during playoffs. Fantastic.
It's just Toronto would just benefit from Toronto Raptors, Toronto Blue Jays. They're not going to benefit from the BC Lions. They're not going to benefit from, the Montreal Canucks, Canadians Canucks. I know.
Oh, Heather.
I just got so many people upset. I just supposed to show how much we don't know.
Well, no, that's not true. I know the Canadian hockey teams. I know that much. I'm Canadian.
Come on,
I know the Canucks are. I know. That was impressive.
I said BC Lions.
BC Lions I was impressed with that, but you lost that.
Montreal Canadiens
with the Canucks. Yeah. Canucks or Vancouver.
I got them mixed up.
I know you did. And they both start with a C. Heather is also incredibly gorgeous. She doesn't have to be. She doesn't have to be smart.
BC. Anyways, the point is, our community, our Toronto community, would not benefit from the other communities that the sports teams are representing.
Well, we have to figure that out. We'd have to figure that out, Heather,
it makes sense because it's if why would we? Because they, like you said before, if they're in our league of any of those big sports teams that represent Toronto, that's a lot of money for hockey, basketball, football, whatever. Soccer, that's a lot of money for just Toronto.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. I think it would have to be Southern Ontario, because it would, right? Because that's a lot of money for just Toronto and the GTA. When then North Bay, Ontario doesn't have any kind of sports teams, and they need more money than Toronto does. Fair. So it would be more about equalization, of so because I don't want, just because Toronto has four sports teams, four shitty sports teams that have to pay into community investments more than any other sports team, that doesn't mean that all of a sudden Toronto is going to have the best schools, the best libraries, the best caretakers. Yeah. It has to be
you're right. No, you're right. I think I was just more lost in the thought of it not being British Columbia doesn't benefit Ontario,
but then
vice versa.
Yeah, but then you see Saskatchewan only has the Rough Riders. That's the Canadian football team, and most Canadian football players have to substitute teacher on the off season to make money. So these poor guys aren't putting anything towards the community investment fund.
So then it would be not that like strictly community based then. It's more.
Yeah, because then what would we have to, maybe we'd have to just do a league thing. And be like the league and then just split it up.
Well, also, like, how many people, I think it's also, in a sense, a proximity thing, right? Like, how many people are living down here versus up there?
Yeah, but that's where the need is, though. It's about need.
That's true.
The need is not, like, so much here in Toronto. We don't have, well, we do have some really crappy schools that are falling apart and need new books, but...
One just burned down.
Yeah, like, but up in, like, Kenora,
yeah,
it's probably, you know, the need is probably even greater.
So then it's just really, it really is just a numbers thing. It's like, where's the need? That's where it goes.
The bottom line, aside from the logistics, because we can figure out the logistics once this is in place.
Yeah.
Hint, hint, NHL, MLB, what else? NFL. What's the baseball one? MLB, NBA,
NBL.
golf, guys. All y'all out there, you should be listening. Because maybe the sports athletes can just get together and decide to do this on their own accord. Wouldn't that be amazing? To have a sports athlete be like, you know what, coach? I would like a community investment every time I miss a shot or get a penalty. Can you take $1,000 of my wages and put it towards and reinvest it in the community, please?
Yeah, can you? I used to go to this high school that could really use a new gym.
That would be amazing. That would happen. But anyway, this has been a fun topic to explore, I think.
Yeah, don't hate us.
Yeah,
it's just
it's just an idea. And the thing is as ridiculous as you may think the idea is out there in podcast land, if you really think about it, how crazy is it to ask someone that has way too much to give up just a little, just enough, so that other people have the chance to succeed?
This is revolution number 10, and that's my Annapropriate peace of mind.